Hello students, in today's lecture I will discuss with you second poem which has been prescribed into your syllabus by Punjab School Education Board. The title of this poem is Mother's Day and it has been written by Shiv K. Kumar. First of all, I would like to give you a brief introduction to the poet Shiv K. Kumar. Shiv K. Kumar was born in Lahore, British India in 1921. He matriculated from Dayanand Anglo-Vedic High School in 1937. He studied for his BA at Government College, Lahore and his MA at Foreman Christian College, Lahore in 1943. He taught English literature at Osmania University, Hyderabad and the University of Hyderabad. During 1972 to 74, he was a UGC National Lecturer in English. He is the founder head of the Department of English and the first Dean of the School of Humanities at the University of Hyderabad. He retired as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Hyderabad in 1980. He was distinguished visiting professor at the universities of Oklahoma and Northern Iowa. So, Shiv K. Kumar is a great writer who has remained even UGC National Lecturer in English, and he has retired as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Hyderabad. Let's now have a look over the introduction to the poem. The poet is against dedicating one day in the whole year to one's mother. He believes that there can be no such day in India because the mother is a blessing for life. Dedicating only one day to her leaves a question mark on the rest of 364 days. We pay obeisance to our mothers twice a day, each day of the year, and that is her right. So, from the introduction, it becomes clear that in this poem, the poet is expressing his views against celebrating the Mother's Day only for one day in a year. Let's now begin with the text of the poem Mother's Day. We do it differently in this dark continent, not just once a year, a string of spurious verses ensconced in a bouquet, shaped like a Chinese house of dreams. My mother is more demanding, and obeisance at each sunrise, like a devotee throwing a handful of yellow rice to the birds, holding a candelabrum before an idol just once a year is desecrating it. Whenever I see a caterpillar slouching towards a pansy's eye or hear ancestral voices in a wind's howl, I invoke my deity sometime twice a day. So let's begin with the first stanza. We do it differently in this dark continent, not just once a year, a string of spurious verses ensconced in a bouquet shaped like a Chinese house of dreams. In these lines, the poet Shiv K. Kumar says that we do it differently. We means the Indian people do it differently. Means in these lines, the poet says that the Indian people celebrate the Mother's Day, but they celebrate it in a different way. They don't celebrate it just once a year. In this dark continent means in India, people don't celebrate Mother's Day for only once a year. They don't adore their mothers in false words, not just once a year. A string of spurious verses. Spurious means false. Spurious means false. And verses means poetry, poems. And const. And const means to put something safely, to keep something safely. So, in these lines, the poet says that the Indian people celebrate the Mother's Day, but they celebrate it in a different way than the Western countries. They don't celebrate it just once a year. They don't adore, they don't show their love and concern for their mothers in false poems or in false words. They don't present their mothers a string of spurious poems kept safely in a bouquet, which is shaped like a Chinese house of dreams. A Chinese house of dreams means a world that is full of imagination. So, the poet wants to say here that Indian people don't show their gratitude towards their mothers in imaginary words only, and that also just once a year. Rather, he says that the Indian people give honor to their mothers by serving them all their lives. So, the Indian people don't show their respect towards their mothers only for one day. They love and they show their care for or towards their mothers for whole of their life. Next stanza. My mother is more demanding and obeisance to a teach sunrise, like a devotee throwing a handful of yellow rice to the birds, holding a candelabrum before an idol just once a year is desecrating it. So, in these lines, the poet says that his mother is more demanding. Mother is more demanding means he tells the people that his mother means my mother here means Mother India, Indian mother is more demanding. She wants so many things. She puts so many conditions before her children, Mother India. The poet says here that Mother India puts so many demands before her children. The poet says that his mother is a bit more demanding. She wants him an obeisance a teach sunrise. Obeisance means when a person bends in respect or touches the feet of elders. That act is called obeisance. when a person bends and touches the feet of his or her elders. That act is called obeisance. Like a devotee worshipper. Devotee means worshipper. The poet in these lines says that his mother is more demanding. She wants him to pay her obeisance at each sunrise. Means she wants her son to pay her regard and respect at each sunrise. Here, my mother refers to an Indian mother. In this line, my mother means Indian mother. An Indian mother wants to keep all the ills, all the bad impacts upon its house, and she wants to keep all the ills away from her children also. So she wants her children to touch her feet every morning and take her blessings before starting a new day. Like a devotee throwing a handful of yellow rice to the birds. Then the poet tells that his mother wants him to throw a handful of yellow rice to the birds every day. In other words, an Indian mother wants to make her children kind to the birds and animals. Means an Indian mother wants her children to be kind hearted and generous. She demands only this much from her children. Holding a candelabrum before an idol just once a year is desecrating it. Candelabrum. Candelabrum is a thing with several branches for holding candles. Idol. Idol means image of God. Image of God. Just once a year is desecrating it. Desecrate means damaging a holy thing or treating it with disrespect. Desecrating means to treat a holy thing with disrespect. So, the mother demands only this much from her children. The poet says that worshipping an idol just once a year by holding a candelabrum to it is all useless. It makes no sense. It is nothing but showing disrespect to it. Just once a year is desecrating it. So the poet says that when a person worships an idol just once a year by holding a candlegram, it is of no use. It is nothing but showing disrespect to it. So, in the same way, honoring one's mother once a year is nothing but it is a kind of disrespect to her. Next stanza. Whenever I see a caterpillar slouching towards a pansy's eye, or hear ancestral voices in a wind's howl, I invoke my deity sometimes twice a day. In these lines, the poet says that whenever I see a caterpillar, the poet says that caterpillar is a small creature with legs. Slouching means moving forward. Slouching means moving forward. Pansy, towards a pansy's eye. Pansy means a small garden plants with bright colored flowers. Pansy means small garden plants with bright colored flowers. Or hear ancestral voices in a wind's howl. Howl. Howl means a long, loud noise of the wind when it is blowing hard. invoke. Invoke means to call up for help, to make a request, sometimes twice a day. Twice means two times. So, in these lines, the poet says that whenever he sees a caterpillar slouching, whenever he sees a caterpillar moving forward towards a pansy plant, he calls upon his deity, or hear ancestral voices in a wind's howl. And whenever he hears ancestral voices in the long or the loud sound of the strong wind, at that time also he calls upon his deity. Deity means his mother. Means the poet here wants to say that whenever he is frightened, he's afraid of something, or whenever he is amazed to see anything, at that time he calls his deity. Deity means his mother, sometimes twice a day. The poet says that it doesn't matter how many times he calls upon his mother, and it doesn't matter, because he invokes or he calls upon his mother sometimes even twice a day. So this poem makes it clear that the poet is against celebrating the Mother's Day only for only once a year, and he he is describing his views about the Mother's Day, which is celebrated all over the world. It is celebrated to honor the mother by showing gratitude for her contribution to the family. But the poet says that dedicating one day in the whole year to one's mother is of no use. So we should respect our mother for whole of our life. So this is the explanation and discussion of the poem Mother's Day. Tomorrow we will continue with our next lecture. Thank you. Thank you very much.